What is the experimental rocketry community in your country like?
Great question. I think there's actually a bunch of stuff going on there. We are obviously not the only ones that do rocketry in that sense. So I feel like besides or one can differ between two aspects. So the first one would be student groups that are associated with university, stuff like that, like we, for example. And then there's also just people who do this stuff in their free time. So they have these kind of build smaller model rockets and fly them in their free time whenever they want to. So from our perspective, we can obviously give more insights on the student teams that are there in Germany. There are just plenty. So I think I wouldn't be able to count them all actually, but there are probably more than 10 different student groups that work in the field of experimental rocketry. So we have for some problems we have fruitful exchange. If we, for example, write to each other and say, hey, you've designed this component already, can we maybe have a chat about how you did that, how you approach that, and then you also meet regularly on certain events. For example, if there are any space tech fairs in Germany or so, you try to be representative with your team, and then you meet other student groups there that also face the same problems and challenges. And then lastly, there's also like unification of student rocketry clubs, Germany-wide association, which is called Bundesverband Studentischer Raumfahrt. Lots of German terms, but yeah, this is let's say the unified representation towards politics, so we can actually shape the landscape of student-developed rocketry in a certain way that that favors us. So we are also a lot in touch with those other teams, so that we can create the best or boundary conditions for us to develop stuff and test stuff and have the opportunity to learn during studies.
How do you promote your team?
Okay, so let's say our main means of communication with the people that follow us or also the sponsors are Instagram, LinkedIn, and I mean YouTube, I'd say a little less soon. Yeah, exactly. Actually, stay tuned because there's some really cool stuff happening on YouTube soon. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, main tool, definitely Instagram. Instagram is probably the easiest tool because it requires less editing and less, let's say, long texts, picture descriptions. And especially when it comes to events at WARR, for instance, test campaigns or manufacturing phases, we always try to keep our followers up to date through Insta stories and also, you know, posts and stuff. And then when it comes to, let's say, sponsors specifically, of course, through direct contact when we, let's say, have specific requirements or when we ask a specific company to sponsor us, or maybe when people have maybe direct contact, of course, that's also an option. But I would say, yeah, mainly Instagram and LinkedIn, and soon YouTube. Don't forget, please. Exactly, live streams, true. And the thing is, it's sometimes difficult when the team is so big, it's very difficult to keep a good overview of everything that is happening. It's also kind of difficult to transmit or like, let's say, to express how interesting the things are that we're doing here. Because taking a picture of, I don't know, something maybe doesn't really explain how complicated and difficult it was to actually manufacture it or design it. And so it's always tricky to get across what we do here, but we try our best.